You call me Kai.
We live on Facebook.
What's up, Facebook Live?
What's going on? Y'all good? All right.
They should put that on the bottom.
My supervisor ain't got none. You think I'm not gonna promote that? You like to keep your edges.
Right. One of those 2 o'clock in the morning infomercials. Do you need edge control?
Yeah, we'll discuss it better. It says Periscope connection too weak.
I can't concentrate today. Like I can't read. What's wrong with me? What's up? I think you tried to touch us with all these words.
It's usually 3 pages. Today's 4.
You heard that packet drop when he's like, boom. Right. School manual.
Hey, how you doing? Are you the accountability partner?
Hi, my love.
Hey.
Hi, my love.
I was just about to text you. Like, I was like, I hope I'm in the right place.
You here, girl?
People be like, I was going to say, you know, like, it's the game of clubs. Everybody got black
What's
cards.
up, new Wombat section? Is it good?
Everybody, this is the
Duana.
Hey, Duana. How you doing?
Chris, how you doing? Oh, yeah, that's everybody. Hi, everybody. I should introduce you when we done.
I'm gonna have to come back to this. I'll give it that quick break. I'm ready. Yeah. I can't wait.
I'm telling you to raise it up. I don't have that much.
Bars.
Last Sunday, Slade just joined the security team. She had morning along 7
I know. That's the signal. What is it gonna say? 20 seconds. Turn the feedback up a little, team. What's up, everybody? It's the After Church Show with Greg and friends. It's your host and producer, GB. We are live in the studio down at Awesome God Radio. Got my crew and a half with me today. What's going on, everybody?
Crew and a half?
Yeah, we deep in the studio.
We are.
Oh,
We
right.
We are deep today. So I got my family here. Got Brother Massey.
What up? What up?
In the building with us today. What's going on, bro? Mass?
What's going on, man?
I'm good.
You good?
I'm always good.
You gotta be.
In Jesus' name.
You gotta be.
Yeah. So Kai, what's up, lady? How we doing?
Hola.
So he went to Jamaica.
I went to Jamaica.
She went to Panama or something.
Yeah, she got an accident. Or are you preparing? Is that what it is? Is it
She's
preparation?
back in Mexico.
She had a flashback.
Okay.
So what's up, sis? You good?
I am lovely.
Ah, good to know. She's lovely.
Oh, Lord.
You know
You back there, right?
I'm gonna try not to go back there. Karen,
Yeah.
how you doing?
She's awesome.
Third person.
Third person.
She's going third person on us. That's
So
the
we
side
not
of a
know.
celebrity.
Okay,
there.
right.
Karen's great.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's good.
Ask me how
We
she's
checked
doing.
with her. She's great.
Okay.
She's
there
got
we go.
edges.
Good to see you. Oh, she got her edges down. Edges are laid.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
She's
Sorry
good.
for that.
Good to have my family folks up in here. We've got Nelly B producing today. Shout out to Nelly B and Brother J. Brother J, thank you for the assist on the producing, sir. So we appreciate you. Much love to you. But family, how's it been, man? So how's your week, man? How was it?
My week was great, man. I got to, I was spotlighted for Verizon Wireless.
Okay.
So I was a judge at this event in downtown Baltimore. The mayor was there. It was these kids that got to create mobile applications.
Okay.
So
Little geniuses.
Yeah, little geniuses. So
Yeah.
through the STEM program, they got funds to help these kids create different applications. So it was only 4 that
Yeah.
we judged. One, it was called Be More Green. So they had a application that you can put in the address to help pick up trash. They wanted to help clean Baltimore up. The second one, their group was called, or their mobile app was called Pooper Scooper.
Okay.
So you know how you're a runner. You go through the county or the city. Most of it was for Baltimore
And
City.
scoop up poop?
And they would have volunteers come, so you could put the address in. Yeah, you can put the
Not
address
my
in.
ministry.
Yeah.
Up, scoop
At
up.
all. Nah. That is amazing though.
Well, knowing
Right,
that
yeah,
board,
yeah.
so they had to create a board, and on
Okay.
the board it said no competitors. I said, oh, you ain't got to worry
Yeah,
about.
there's no competition with
Yeah.
that.
You're
You are
good.
number one.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
it was really good to see those. I mean, these young kids, they went middle school, so it was a fantastic week, man.
Awesome, man. Awesome.
God was good.
Quarles,
Yeah.
how was your week?
My awesome.
Your awesome week?
My week was amazing because let me tell you why.
We're listening.
So I'm actually in production phase of launching my accountability and empowerment group for women.
Awesome.
So
Awesome.
I decided to kick fear to the curb
That's right.
and go out and jump. So I'm gonna do it
Okay. Okay.
and let the Lord lead me.
Yes.
But it's exciting. It's a new
Good shot,
venture.
God.
So we'll see
Right.
what I have to say
God.
for the people.
So that means you
God
gotta
is
come with something.
moving. God is shaking.
Yeah, y'all should have been me first, man.
I said, you can't follow the accountability. She's like, man, I just,
You could make it work.
Right. So kind of. So how was your week though? Was it blessed and highly
Yes.
favored by God?
Yes, I'm
It should be.
God.
Like, look, I'm
It
here.
should be.
I'm here, ain't I?
You see me.
When you slain all week.
Yes.
All presence.
All week I just prayed.
Y'all get on my nerves.
It's my first day out the house. I prayed all week.
All week, right? I didn't even eat.
I didn't even eat. I just prayed to God.
I did 6 prayers. I didn't get tired.
That's right.
Could you be a monk and just
Me?
like pray all
Nope.
the day? Nope.
Mm-mm.
Yeah,
Nope. I like
And-
sports.
Right.
And Jesus knows my heart, so I can, yeah, nope, couldn't do it.
Gotcha.
I ain't gonna lie to you.
For no other reason.
Yeah.
Just
Yeah,
sports.
I just, hey,
That was all.
I'm trying to be honest with y'all. I would miss basketball.
Oh,
But
man.
so my week was kind of weird. I went back to work after leaving such a resting place,
We're not
And-
going
Right,
back
right. We here.
and I was in the island.
Oh, there you go.
Lord.
So it was hard for me to go back to work, man. It was, but I was there, at least physically. But I pressed on and I did what I had to do. But a very productive week, though. All jokes aside, we're really working on some things that are going to be a blessing for ACS. So some news is forthcoming, and we will be doing some larger things. So I had a week of productivity. I'll put it that way. So.
Oh, praise the Lord.
Yes,
Amen.
yes. God
Amen
is
and
in the
amen.
blessing business,
Amen.
and I am being blessed. If you had just tuned in to this ridiculousness today, it is the After Church Show with Greg and friends, and we come on every Saturday from 12 to 2 p.m., and our show rebroadcast on Tuesdays from 3 to 5 p.m. You can also hit the Awesome God Radio website for on-demand playbacks of previous shows, so we encourage you to do that. We also would love for you to follow us on any social media platform. If you put in @After Church Show, you will find me and this awesome crew of mine, and you'll see our beautiful bronze faces on your screen if you
Bronze?
log in. Yes, we're all a shade
I
of
like bronze.
brown.
Like that?
Show me all of these. I like
Like you'll take bronze instead of
But
Okay.
follow us at After Church Show, and also check out our website, theafterchurchshow.com. So. We're ready to talk. I'm ready to discuss. Are you guys ready to
Jump
just,
in.
yeah.
Do it.
No. Let's go.
All right, this is going to be a 30-foot dive into a 3-foot pool. Let's see how we do this one. Nah, you know what? Let's not start off too crazy. We'll start off with something
I just felt heavy.
something that people can
Yeah,
heaviness.
felt the heaviness coming upon me. So let's chat here. Listen, so lots of people, are into various different beliefs. They go to different extremes, in my opinion, to kind of find answers for their lives. So one of those avenues that people do this is through astrology. Some people are into astrology real heavy. They're into numerology, numbers, and all that kind of thing. So there's, if you get your daily paper, some people have apps for this, but a lot of people actually read and make use of their horoscopes every day. A lot of born-again believers are reading their horoscopes and deciding that, because they were born in June, that they must in some way go with the horoscope for their sign. So it's an interesting question, and I think this is something that we can sit here and discuss for a tidbit. But what do you guys feel about horoscopes, and do you read them?
I'll jump in first.
Yeah, don't be afraid. The water's just fine.
Y'all afraid to jump in?
Yeah,
let's put y'all toe in the water. See,
so what's up?
Horoscopes.
Horoscopes. Let's talk.
I actually read my horoscope. I read the Aries
You were going to
horoscope.
hell, Chris. No.
Like that? Oh my
But that's what they say.
I delete the app right now.
Yes.
But you
Yes. So
you
I
read your horoscope?
follow my horoscope. I mean, I'm not like one of those, I read it because if you really read your horoscope, and I just feel like, as it relates to Aries, a lot of the behaviors that they talk about Aries are some that fit very well. If you read your horoscope, you'll so I follow my horoscope.
You do read it?
Shout out to Aries.
Okay, okay. So we have one who follows, one who reads. Karen,
Yeah.
you ever read it?
I used to. I actually
Used to read
stopped.
it? Okay, you stopped reading.
I stopped because God checked something in my spirit, and I really don't even fully know what it was. But He had said, "Stop, child."
Okay,
And I was like,
that's a pretty clear
okay.
message right there.
Who was you searching for?
Huh?
Who was you searching?
Who was you searching for?
I wasn't searching for anybody. I just was reading.
You just read it.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's the whole.
I read it I wasn't attached to it, but I read it enough to the point where He said stop. Child.
Mhm.
So I stopped.
Okay, so I think that I used to read them too. I'm not gonna lie. I used to read them, because what's my Sagittarius is what I'm supposed to be. Yeah, a Sagittarius. So I guess people who follow the sign, because I don't anymore, but I used to read them. I honestly did. I'm supposed to be a certain way because I was born December 4th and the stars were aligned in a specific way, and that's supposed to have some impact on my mood and affect the type of person that I am. But as I got deeper in God, and I'm just being honest, as I got deeper in Him, I saw the futility of the signage and astrology.
Yeah.
Mainly because, but here's, and I'm gonna tell you what I used to say to people when I read them, because I would say, well, the wise men found Jesus by following the stars. They did.
They did.
Yeah, it's true.
Use that verse in Luke.
I was using it.
There
You
you
know what I
go.
mean? To justify my own fleshly desire to read these things about our signs. But the truth of the matter is that astrology is actually very offensive to God, and because it attributes to it takes all the thoughts are from the attributes of where the stars and planets are aligned, and the powers that belong to God alone are then not respected, because we're then looking to these stars and the alignment of the system to give us the answers to the things that God has provided for us. And the truth is, God is supposed to be our source of everything. God guides us. God gives us the answers. So the answers that we seek by other means can be found in the Word. So if we look to other means to try to get the answers, are we not then offending God? Talk about that. Is that how do you feel about that?
Let me just drop that.
You're right.
I'm gonna put that in the middle of the
No,
room.
it's funny because I actually, in high school, I had a friend that kind of introduced me to astrology.
Yeah.
And he was really trying to convince me that you could,
About numbers and all
yeah,
that stuff.
you could find God through astrology. He was like,
Wise
it's
men found
really-
Jesus.
it-
No, but-
No, but it was interesting until it became uninteresting, and some things started to happen. I was kind of like, you know what, this is weird, and yeah.
Yeah.
I do know that I'm a cusp kid. I do know that, but other than that, I don't read it anymore because I feel like the way it made me felt in that moment, it was kind of like, nah, this is too weird. I think I had gotten too deep into it, and it was just like, yo,
because it'll lead you to like numerology, where they start adding up numbers and talking about, well, you know, if you did 4 plus 4 is 8, 8 minus 2 is 6, so 6 plus 4 is 10.
Try to make it sound.
Then you gonna be rich.
Right.
Get out my face with all this phonies. But and because of that fact, I think that, you know, and it's a lot of people that do it. I'm not, you know, I can't judge you. Let the word do that. That's not my job.
You judged me. You said you're going to help.
I did
I'm
tell
joking.
you. In jest.
Right.
But, you know, the Bible speaks on everything that we need to know. You know, recently I've been reading like a lot of the Beatitudes. I've been really focusing on the Beatitudes. It's a lot to take in because there's a couple chapters where Jesus was doing the Sermon on the Mount. He talks about that. But he really answers so many things in so many ways. So I just, at this stage in my walk, I just look to God for answers.
Right.
And that's how I find them. So to all those who do read, you know, if it's for entertainment, that's one thing. But if it's for actual answers, then I would ask you to come see Jesus, because you're not gonna find the answers in where the stars were and where the planets are. He put them there, and I can't. You know what I mean? God put the stars and the planets where they are.
Go to the source.
Yeah, go to the source. I'm not gonna preach. I feel like it.
You
should. You know, I gotta keep the rasp in my voice.
You gotta take it down the
You gotta take it down the octave
just a
and get
little.
deep. God. You know, don't you like how they? Do you like how preachers be like, oh, shh, listen.
Watch this.
That's when God.
That's when God is talking to you.
Or you can just get the phone.
Yo.
You just need the God
They
phone.
should have been on the internet.
You know, I wanted to keep playing. And I want people.
Internet.
If you missed it last week, please go see the pastor from Zimbabwe on World Star who was talking to God on the cell phone. Entertain yourself. We talked about it last week, so we're not gonna talk about it. But just go check him out.
Call him right.
That's just another way.
Call
Right.
Jesus. I have Jesus on the phone.
Hold on. Oh my God.
I cannot. Anyway, so check this news story out. There was a Mississippi teen who shielded their cousin from gunfire in recent news, and there was also a Texas teen who was killed protecting a female friend from a group of aggressive young men. Both of these young men were seen as heroes, and they were seen as heroes because they stuck to their promise to the people that they loved to protect them. And that's an amazing thing. They were both promising young men. They were both athletes. They both lost their lives as a result of the choice that they made to protect someone that they love. In one instance, it was actually a stranger, though. Another story was actually a stranger that was protected by someone. So my question from that, because those things are awesome, and much love and respect to those people who laid their lives down for another, and also our prayers go out to their families. But I didn't want to necessarily talk about the story itself. What I wanted to extract from that was the question, which I think is kind of deep, and thanks for this question, Kai. What lengths would you go through to protect someone close to you? Or what lengths would you go to protect someone you didn't know? So that's two different types of questions there. So let's tackle that. So let's deal with the people that you know first. I mean, we kind of know what you ought to say. Hey, man, forget my family.
Hey, give me nothing for my birthday anyway.
But I think we probably all could agree collectively that, you know, if somebody came for your loved one, you want to be there. You know, I know, you know, my tribe, the Barneses, and all those connected to them. If something were to happen, we gonna ride. You know, and that's no doubt on that.
Ride.
Yeah, we coming. That's all. We coming.
In a whole
Yeah,
squad.
yeah,
Bible's
yeah.
gonna be left at home.
We'll pray for you afterwards.
Right.
We all saved.
Oh, we laying hands.
We laying hands first
Exactly.
and then praying afterwards. So we definitely coming though, and I'm sure y'all feel the same way, right? Somebody come for your people, you know, somebody touch your loved one, your children. Lord forbid you touch like spouse or something like that. You know, Nelly B knows she's got a pit bull on reserve at all times. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, but that's just how it is. That's just how it is.
Yeah.
But when we talk about the people people that we don't know, the narrative may change.
Right.
It shouldn't.
Right.
But let's be honest. And I want your honest answer. I don't want your apostolic off the mountain answer. Because I want real.
Now answer.
I'm gonna say this: we all should lay down our lives for another.
Okay.
Now let's talk about what we would actually do if we was on the subway and somebody pulled a
I
gun
was just thinking it.
on somebody next to you and was like, "Give me your money." What you gonna do? A fake faint, faint and then peek. But seriously, I mean, Chris, what would you do, man? Like if somebody was like, you know, just shooting people, you know, you had these mass shootings and you see people just getting like pow pow, and you see a way out, right? But you see people getting shot in succession as they come towards you. Are you staying or are you out?
I'm like, everybody, let's roll. Y'all see the out right there. No, you know what? Honestly, I really don't know what I would do in that situation. I mean, I've been in a situation where I witnessed a domestic issue going on, and I didn't know what the man had on him.
That's touchy.
But I approached him, and you know, me and my friends approached him like, you know, you're not going to hit this woman in front of us. Like, I don't know.
You never hit her right now.
Right. I don't know what y'all do at home, but like, when it comes to strangers, you really got to think. You know, I have a mother, sister, I have 5 nieces. Like, I think about, you know, my friends. I think about just women in general. Being in that type of situation, and how could I not do anything?
Right.
And as it relates to somebody with a gun, I mean, I don't know.
What you gonna do?
You think about your own life, but you also think about, like, you know, what could you do? What, you know, is there anything that you could really do? Because we're naturally, well, I would hope that most of us are naturally inclined to help a stranger.
Yeah.
But, you know, I really don't know what I would do, you know, in the event that.
Okay.
You know,
That's an honest
I
answer.
would hope.
You don't know. You would hope that you would
I would
go
hope
up
I
and
would do something. Yeah.
But you're just not right sure.
Yeah.
Okay, that's a fair answer. What would you do, Kai?
I guess it depends on the situation.
Okay, we'll make yours a little softer than the gun. If somebody was just getting beat, pommeled.
Just
You on the subway with your beats on your ear, you know what I mean? And then a fight just break out.
Oh, that happened. I saw that all the time in high school, and what I did was I kept my headphones on.
So what I'm going to do is
I mean, it depends. I mean, I'm not going to jump in and break up a fight because you don't know, somebody might have a knife, they might have some mace or something like that. You
Right.
know, I might stand on the side and be like, no, wait, stop, don't do that. But no, it depends because, like, I've seen in situations where there were younger people, I had, you know, been the older person, the young adult to step in and break up the fight, you know, that type of thing. Or if it's something more serious, get another adult involved because I'm sorry, I'm just not set up.
It's tough. It's a tough
you
call.
being real, though.
It's a tough call, but you
I'm
being
a
real
very
about it.
sensitive person.
Yeah, that's cool. So, I mean, would you jump in? Would you see yourself interfering in a situation or laying your life down for another person, a stranger?
Yeah, that's one of those things, like, kind of what Chris was saying. It's kind of hard to say because we can all say we're going to be tough. Like, yeah, I ain't going to let that happen to nobody. But then you see that nice old shiny silver gun and you like, well...
You start reconsidering stuff,
Well,
right?
he did just ask for your money, so maybe if you gave him the money, he'd go away.
Right.
Oh,
Simple solution.
You start rationalizing.
Like
I got you.
Like, I mean, really. But in terms of if you see, like, fights, I've broken up fights, and I just know that instinctively I would want to help. But I think you also have to be wise about the way that you try to intervene.
Yeah.
And I really think a lot of it has to do, like, with what the spirit would tell me to do.
Okay, that's fair enough. I'll be real. You know, I would, when it comes to, you know, and I know what the word tells me to do, you know, and it does say that I'm to lay down my life for another, and, you know, Jesus then told us that, you know, no greater sacrifice can a man.
You know, all the words, you
Right,
know,
right.
the exact opposite.
You know, and lay down his life for a friend. But I think about my family. I start thinking about my people first. So I'm like, and maybe God just ain't through with me yet. You know, he need to keep working on that. But I start thinking about them, and I'll say stuff, and I've said stuff before, and I've definitely jumped in verbally, but I only do it to a degree. You know, I'm like, because you don't know. I've seen news stories where, you know, it was domestic violence going on. Somebody jumped in, then the man and the woman that was getting beat, turned and beat the person that was trying to intervene.
Right.
You know, so that's how I think about it like that, because what's my family gonna do if I'm not here? And I look at stuff like that, and I'm not saying it's right, but I'm just being honest. You know, I'm not gonna try to play super Christian right now. I'd be like, nope, stop.
But you know what? There's other ways that
stop.
you can help if you were too
Call
afraid
police.
to intervene. Yeah, like so
Yeah.
this happened at my
That's
job
how they
before.
do
There
it.
was a domestic dispute,
Mm-hmm.
and there was this guy. He was just like pushing this girl around. He threw her in the car.
Mhm.
So I was able to call the police and give the police the license plate number. So at least they had that person on their radar, because
Right.
he looked like he had a few weapons. And
He had the weapon.
no, like for real, he looked like he had a few weapons, and
Mhm.
I wanted to help this lady so bad, but like it was almost to the point where he pushed her in the car, and like her feet were dragging as he pulled off.
Oh, wow.
Like it was bad. I was like, oh no, we got to do something. I went to the security department and I reported it. I'm
Mhm.
like, can we follow up to make sure that the police were called, and they went. So at least they knew where the person lived at and could actually have it on their radar.
Because if
But-
somebody's willing to do that to somebody that they quote unquote love,
right.
they ain't gonna have no feelings towards you.
Exactly, but it's our responsibility to do something,
Yeah.
even if it's not physically. To
Yeah,
report it
I'm
or do
wise.
something.
I ain't gotta be. You know, it's wise. That's wisdom, as far as I'm
Use
concerned. Yeah, use your wisdom. Don't be too dumb. But anyway, so I'm gonna take a quick break, and we're gonna come back from the break. But I want for our listeners out there, we are going to be we're actually on our Facebook live stream right now. So if you want to join in and take a peek inside the studio, please feel free to do so. And we're also going to be streaming on Periscope as well. So just stay tuned, stay locked to the After Church Show with Greg and Friends. We'll be right back in just a few minutes. You muted? Okay.
Alright, now we're getting that's what you want. We can do it. You better run them boys, girl. Like, where'd he go?
With the earphones on.
My sister together.
Where you going?
I had to get my sister together. Everything's good. So when that happens, when it's low though, I'm gonna bring it up a little bit so it's like.
Not doing Periscope at all.
I mean, I'm connected to internet. There's two internets I'm connected to. So yeah.
I'm not, whatever one he gave us. Okay, let's give me the option now.
You ain't missed nothing. Same thing that happened last year. On the first game.
Did you get a Periscope notification?
I did.
You did? Okay. How you doing?
Good.
Thank you for coming. Appreciate it.
Is that better?
I'm really fun so far.
Glad you're enjoying it. We had a couple technical snafus here.
I don't have a question first.
Huh?
Okay. You in there.
I don't know what to say. When I was sitting back.
It's right there. You can see a full shot of it.
It's because I was sitting back.
Y'all got to watch this, okay? Because you're shaking the picture. No, that was more so for Jay. Hey Jay, be careful when you sit. I'm gonna try to move this, but it's shaking the picture. We're good now.
went last year. It wasn't a picture. It was food trucks in the can.
They have different ones. They got one next to me.
They had the crab dip.
Can't wait. That's the first turkey.
Crab dip.
I'm going to the vegan.
Yeah. You might see me there. And there's up on the front.
Broccoli and
Yeah.
To all my church folk, what I want you to do is I want you to play this real loud in your phone. Make it click you listen to it.
That's right, Cat. That's probably why that's Mary Slade.
Responsible for great Jesus is so amazing. Always around me, I'm going so I
no venison.
Alright, I'm about to unlock the mic.
Welcome back to the After Church Show with Greg and friends. It's your host and producer GB. We are live in the studio today down at Awesome God Radio. Having fun with my squad. Y'all good?
Yeah.
Good. Good to know.
Yeah.
I want to talk about a story now, and this one is actually one that really has me a little upset. I'll be very honest about that. This is a story that we discussed in our meeting, and I think that this one is really, really bad. So there's a Texas girl who's speaking out after a teacher allegedly named her student most likely to become a terrorist. Her name is Lizeth Villanueva, and she says that she was shocked when the teacher signed and handed her a certificate with the insulting superlative during a mock awards ceremony at the Anthony Aguirre Junior High School in Channelview. The preteen, who's apparently in an advanced academic program and has never had any disciplinary problems at all, said she's not been back to class since she received the certificate. So, all jokes aside, some things just aren't funny.
No.
And I'm not sure why. I mean, I think I know why, and I think I know the answer to the why. But what astounds me is the continued level of ignorance that is displayed towards non-white people in this country.
Yeah.
And it is done now so frequently and often that it really it's sickening to me at this point. So I'm gonna come in with all the fury of the Black Panther Party in just a second, but I want you guys to kind of discuss this out and talk about how this story made you feel, because here you have a promising young lady who is of Hispanic heritage, and so the teacher gave her most likely to become a terrorist award, which is just ignorant in itself. But how do you guys feel when you read this story? What was it that you felt when you looked at this one?
My immediate feeling was anger, because it just reminds me that racism is still alive. It will probably always be alive as long as it's taught, and it's continued to be taught and passed down. Because that's what it is. It's something that's taught. You're not born racist,
right?
But it just made me feel horrible. It's a terrible situation, and it's so bad because as long as racism exists and it's always targeted towards young minorities are always going to think that of themselves.
Yeah.
And they're always going to go around thinking, I can't be anything more than what they tell me I am.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that is terrible. I think there's something that needs to be done to just wipe out this. I mean, we know what it is right now, as the reason is why it's so big. It starts with the T, ends with the P.
Yeah.
It's got these people just thinking,
Trump.
It's just got these people thinking that, this is the right way. And so it's like history is repeating itself, but it's not right. And young minorities need to know that those labels that they put on you, that's not the end. There's so much more than that.
Yeah, it's disgusting. It's disgusting.
Yeah, when I saw the clip, and I was more disgusted at the fact that she said her teacher didn't care what people thought about it.
Right.
Like, not only did you actually do this, but you said that to your student. Like, it's just, I mean,
because they don't care.
Yeah,
people with that mindset.
Yeah,
they really don't care. They could care less.
Nope. So it's sad. I mean, it's real sad. I mean, like Kai said, your first reaction is anger. Like, really?
Yeah.
This is what you want to do. So I mean, you just gotta try to get through moments like this without responding in a hateful manner, because we're already deemed in the media's eyes as negative. So if we respond negatively, then there you go again, instead of handling it.
And I hate that mousetrap right there,
do
because
too.
that's a mousetrap. Somebody can say what they want for the most part, and if you respond, the respondent is judged more harshly than the person who initiated the problem. I don't get that.
Right.
Why is it okay for somebody to just criticize you and talk to you like trash and say all kinds of malicious things to you, towards you, and then when you say something back, then it's, you out of line, please.
Right.
Yeah,
I'm coming.
Right, I know.
Yeah.
I'm gonna leave this one for you, but I'm just gonna say that my first reaction to it was absolute disgust. Beyond the idea of racism and discrimination and those types of things that make us already upset, I think about the fact that for me as a mentor and a coach who spends so much of my time pouring into young people, making sure that I am able to combat the negative imagery along with the rhetoric that the kids constantly hear, that people like this are intentionally saying things to kids that could truly mess them up for the rest of their lives.
Yeah.
Because we don't know what type of emotional state this young lady is in or what type of home foundation she comes from. So she could be looking to her teachers for certain guidance or certain things to impart into her to ensure that she has a great life. Because some people, and I know for me in particular, I've had great teachers who have been tremendous examples in my life that I don't know how I would have gotten through had they not been there. So I take it very offensively because this teacher has a responsibility to not just teach but to impart good things into the students. And to say that is just like, she needs to be fired.
Yeah.
Like 5 times.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I would make sure of it as her mother.
Mhm.
Yeah, I'm talking to somebody.
Yeah. Yeah.
Black or
I'm
not,
with
they're
you.
going to talk about me on camera. I don't care. Yeah, whatever.
They
They're
don't
going
need
to
no
talk anyway.
investigation. They don't need no.
Yeah.
They're going to talk about us anyway.
Paid.
So sometimes you just got to stand up and just bite the bullet, like whatever. But
Yeah.
you're not going to talk to my child like that. That's crazy.
Yeah. So for me, I mean, there is no mystery how I feel about this.
Yeah, we're clear.
But the fact is that this just angers me to the nth degree because of the racial undertones,
Yeah.
right? And that's the thing that kind of gets me. It's the racial undertones. It's the thought. It's the thought by people who have a supremacist mindset that I can treat people inferior because they're different than me.
Right.
And that, as you said, Kai, is given to people as generations go on. So as opposed to planting seeds of love, planting seeds of acceptance, planting seeds of fairness, these people like this disgusting teacher are the ones who are being told that it is okay to be a racist, bigotous, behind. And that's because we're on the After Church show. I said that.
Okay.
But that's really what it is, and that's the root of it. So the root of it has to be addressed, and the root of it has to be cut off. And if it's never addressed, and and that's the whole thing. Like the thing I talked about of mousetrap is it puts us in a place where we can't say anything.
Mm-hmm.
But you have those of us who don't go by that philosophy, and there's going to be a response, So my thing is this to the people who thought this story was funny, because I did read some social media comments on this. People who thought it was funny, people who thought that it wasn't that big of a deal. And those are the ones that really make me want to tear my Nike off in their behind,
Right.
is when you don't think this is big of a deal. It's
Yeah.
a big deal
It is.
for a pre-adolescent woman, girl, to be told that she's going to be something that she's not by someone who has a supremacist attitude, because the seed that was planted in this young lady, you don't know how far the roots will run from this event. We're talking about an excellent student who stopped going to school
Yeah.
because of what occurred. So the power of the word and the power that was spoken over her should let us know. I mean, even the Bible talks about the power of the tongue. The power of the tongue it speaks life or death.
Right.
And it's no in between with it. It either speaks one or the other. And she, this is speaking death over somebody.
Mm-hmm.
And her mother stood up for her. And they, if you go deep into the story, you'll see. And I encourage you, listeners, to do that. But if you go deep into the story, you see that her mother stood up for her, and they are taking actions to make sure that this doesn't occur again. But it's an abuse of power. Teachers have a privilege that's given to them. They have a privilege and a responsibility.
Mm-hmm.
That is the privilege to be around our children, and the responsibility to teach our children. Teachers spend more time with a lot of our kids than we do, especially during the week.
Yeah.
So if you've got some racist bigot in there thinking that it's no big deal, just like we had the story last week where the guy used the N-word to a class of black students, that is not okay.
It's not.
These are the people who have these fragile minds in their hand, and they're abusing the power and the privilege that they have, and I believe that these teachers should be fired immediately. If you do something along this line, no different than the professor that we talked about a couple weeks back. You don't want to take diversity training? Fine, go work at Jiffy Lube.
Yeah.
It's just
for
like
real.
that. You know what I mean?
Straight like
Stop giving people passes. They give people passes. What's her face is being just killed in the media right now? Kathy Griffin.
Yeah.
For the Donald Trump head thing, and and I told my wife, I said it's a bit extreme what she
It's
did.
very extreme.
It was a bit extreme, and whether I think that he's a bumbling idiot or not, the fact is that he's the president of the United States.
Mm-hmm.
So he's the president of the United States. So the office of the president should not be disrespected, in my opinion. I'm one of those people. Regardless of whether you got Bobo the Clown in there or a very intelligent person like the previous president, Barack Obama, it is our responsibility as citizens to make sure that we uphold the office.
Right.
No different than you've got a jerk for a pastor. That don't mean you disrespect pastors.
Right.
You know, you respect the office of
Mm-hmm.
pastor. So these teachers should be fired, taken out of the system, not allowed to teach our children, because obviously you don't understand the value of the opportunity that's been placed in your hands.
Right.
So it should be stripped from you, and that's really how I
100%.
feel. And I honestly, you know, it may seem a bit extreme, but I think that some jail time would help with this. You
I'm
know,
not mad.
just go sit somewhere for a while.
Go sit down.
Yeah, or I
Go
would,
sit
you
with some
know,
terrorists.
right?
Yeah,
Go
real.
sit.
Yeah.
Let me send you to Syria
Syria.
for a little bit and
Yeah.
just hang out and see how you feel when you come back.
Yeah.
Or you can let them move down to one of our neighborhoods and let us, you know, live with them for a little bit.
Yeah.
Well,
I'm sure their mind would
she'll
change.
change her mind real quick.
Yeah, Bookie and Nuck Nuck would make sure that they went back to their neighborhoods
black.
with a different
Pete
right.
and Nuck Nuck.
You know how we do. We got double up on nicknames and put little in front of whatever it is.
Low black, low
You can't just be Frank. You little Frank.
Right.
We like repetitive names when it comes to it. But you know, in my best day, I still try to muster up love for people. But I hate people like this.
Yeah,
And you know, I have to
there's
just
no
keep
love
praying.
right there.
I got to keep asking the Lord to help me
Yeah.
because my flesh won't allow me to accept people because these are kids.
Yeah, that
It's
really
children.
made me mad. I
Yeah.
probably would have throat punched her.
Yeah, that would be a good move.
I'm just
Tell
The
me,
saying.
Colin
McSqueeze,
sent you.
the McSqueeze me move.
I'm
He's
just
right.
saying, like,
Tell me, Colin sent you.
I can't stand stuff like that.
Yeah, because that you know that grinded my gears. I'll put it that way. Got with me a little bit. So I'm gonna switch gears now. We're gonna go to something more positive. So there's a story of a young man who was stuck on the subway. He was on his way to his graduation ceremony. His name was Jarek Marco Alcantara. Try to say that fast. He actually missed his commencement ceremony at Hunter College on the Brookdale campus due to a delay on the E-train. So a friend, and I thought this was a very cool story, a friend presented him with a diploma via cell phone, and another passenger filmed it and posted the story onto Facebook. I really thought that was kind of dope.
Yeah.
You know, they knew that he was going to miss his commencement. He wasn't going to make, clearly. You know, if you on the E-train stuck, you miss it. I thought that was a really dope type of thing to do for somebody. So it brought about the question, what is the best thing or the most appreciated thing that you've ever experienced from a stranger? Okay, what is a stranger done for you that is most memorable? And then secondly, how can we teach the next generation, those millennials and the ones coming behind them? And what is their name going to be, by the way? Just, I'm on a tangent right now, but you got millennials. What's next?
Something in the alphabet.
You think so?
I
I think it's like
It was
one of
Generation
X,
X, it was Generation
Y,
I think I was Generation X. That's how old that is.
Yeah, I'm
You're
Generation Y.
X.
And you Y?
I guess there'll be Z.
There'll be Z?
Yeah. Maybe.
Okay. Because then you
we'll
got
start over.
millennials, and then we got to start out. Generation A sounds weak, though.
It does, but
It sounds special, like you need help.
They're going to be special. They need help.
You said they. Good at eat both of those. But, so what's the best thing that a stranger, can you remember something that a stranger did for you? Right?
Yeah.
And then, how can we help the next generation understand the importance of being a good Samaritan? Can you remember something that a stranger did?
All right. So
Some
I don't
dude,
want to.
some woman.
I don't want to be all deep, but.
Oh, get deep on
Get
it.
deep.
Get
Come
deep.
on,
it's
bring
not,
Shatah
it's not.
You wouldn't be
She's
you if
home.
you didn't get
So,
deep.
It's not really deep. So, you know, the best thing that a stranger ever did for me, I was still working at the hospital, and I was doing something at the front desk, and this guy walked up, and he looked right at me. It's almost like he looked through me. He was like, you know what? You don't belong here. He was like, everything that you've been praying about, God is going to make manifest in your life. So for me, what that stranger did for
He
me,
just walked in and said
he
that?
just walked in. And
Jesus.
he actually, oh my gosh, it got crazy because he was also like, and you know what? You've been thinking about cutting your hair. Don't you dare cut your hair. I was about to cut my hair.
What?
It was crazy. But the craziest
Oh,
thing
that
in
was
that
God.
situation.
Did you talk to Jesus?
Listen, we had a long talk after that. I was like, listen, you got
Thanks
to
for
tell me
stopping
when
by
you...
work today.
Right,
Travis. I
right.
appreciated that. That was nice.
It
of
was
you.
crazy, but it was this guy. He was hunched over, like his back. He couldn't stand up straight.
Really?
It was the
Was
most.
it Quasimodo?
Oh my gosh.
Did he come to your job?
Did he have a bell?
I get it. I'm going home.
But what I mean, outside of it, I mean, really, how did you feel though? Seriously.
So no,
'Cause
okay,
that would have froze me in my.
I was frozen.
Yeah.
And I couldn't let it go.
Yeah.
But the thing that it made me think about was the fact that he was able to see me in a period in my life when nobody else was. So for me, what he did was obedient.
Mm-hmm.
And he said to me what God told him to say. He's like, I don't know why he's telling me to say this, but I feel like I got to say it. So what he did for me was help to usher in a whole new season for my life, for me to pay attention and really hear God's voice in a major way. Because that scared the living daylights out of me.
Man, I'm sitting here right now just like, wow.
It was deep. I would
feel the spirit in the room.
Listen, I felt the virtue coming through that man. I'm like, that is nobody but God coming up here to this desk. So
Jesus came to your job.
He came, child.
He's there.
He showed up.
Yeah, as an old hunchback.
Yes, I promise you.
In
the crazy part is I saw this man again.
Well, you know the donkey spoke in the Bible.
Yeah.
It's possible.
The man came back to my job again, and this time for something might have happened. He might have got therapy or something. He was standing upright, and he didn't even remember me.
Get out.
I spoke to him, and I was so excited to see him. He was like, "Oh, hey."
Because you was like, Jesus, they came twice. The Lord is at my job again. Hey, Jesus.
What message you got for me now?
What you got for me, Jesus? That's amazing, though.
Yeah, it was. But
Look at God.
In response to the second question, the way that we help the next generation is to really just be the example.
Yeah.
Like I try to, especially when I mentor the kids that I mentor, I try to show them that you do service by being a person who's a servant.
Mm-hmm.
And they watch that and they actually take notes mentally and they mimic it and then they try to do it in their own way. So I think just being an example of it more than anything. We can't be like talking at people and not doing anything. So I think the example is more than the speech of it all.
Yeah, yeah. So if you're just tuning in, the topic at hand and what we're talking about right now is how we can help the generation behind us be good Samaritans. And we're also discussing what a stranger has done in your life that made an impact. And Karen literally had the Lord come past her job. So
literally.
Good luck with your stories.
I don't even need to share.
Jesus came past.
Jesus wins every time.
Yeah, you can't top Jesus. So, but what
I'm 0 for 2 today.
Stranger did nothing for me. But anything?
No. Yeah. When I was my early days in college, I was going.
She's talking like she. Did you hear this? My early days in college. You just
like
left
yesterday when I graduated.
With your
I'm
young
talking
self.
about the first time.
When I was younger.
The first time before I got serious about school.
Yeah, I got you.
I was going through some things and my money wasn't right, so I'm sweating bullets in the line.
Mm-hmm. Money was funny.
My money was
a little funny.
Money a little funny.
My money was real funny because I was sweating bullets in the line. Like, Lord, please let this swipe and approve. Like, that's just.
Oh, you was in one of those situations.
and I was literally
up there playing jackpot with your ATM card. Give it to me.
No, like
let it go through. Let it go through. Lord.
Give it to me, please.
Just one time. I just need one more time. I know I'm in the negative already.
Don't decline me, girl.
I tried this week.
Wipe it.
That should count for something.
You knew I should have kept my 10%. But no, one of my professors was behind me, and I think she just saw the sweat on my forehead. She was like, you know what? I'm gonna buy you lunch today. So that made me feel good. Yeah.
Boy, I've been there. I know that feeling. I ain't even gonna. I done been there.
Look, I
want to swipe that card.
You don't know what's going on. You just pray.
Just let this go through, Jesus. If you let it go through, I will go to church right early. On Sunday,
I won't miss on Sunday if you let this.
I'll even
I've been
there.
I'm going to Bible study this week. So, Chris, any impacts by a stranger, man?
That is funny. So mine is similar to Kai's. I was at the grocery store, and I just forgot my wallet, and I didn't have that much. I did.
That's the oldest trick in the book.
No.
Right.
Hey, dog, can you get me? left my
left my
joint in the car. Could you get me?
No,
I get you back. I get you back.
So I forgot my wallet. So I didn't have that much stuff. It probably came up to like $20, $30. And the person behind me was like, "Don't worry about it. I got you." So I mean,
$30. That's a lot. That's a lot
Yeah,
for
man.
a stranger.
Was you at Whole Foods?
What y'all cheating?
Man, he was at Trader Joe's. He had a pack of gum.
Giant. I was at
And
Giant.
one of them lemonades, $30.
But to say to the next generation, kind of what Karen was saying, just showing them the importance. I mean,
Yeah.
we all, you never know when you're going to be in that position to need help.
Mhm.
So, just do it from your heart. Just do it from your heart. If you see somebody needs help, think about your family member might need help, or your child might need help, and you might not be there.
Yeah.
So you would want a stranger to help out. So that's
Yeah.
my advice.
You kind of feel that way too, Kai, about the next generation?
Yes,
Yeah.
definitely.
Lead by
I think that's
example.
the best answer. Lead by example.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. My encounter by a stranger. I was just sharing this story with my wife maybe 2 weeks ago, and it's similar to the
Jesus
one.
came to see you.
Jesus was in the room. It was Jesus was in the room. I was super saved by Jesus. But what happened was I actually contracted viral meningitis
Really?
in my 20s.
Wow.
So you might remember this. I was in a hospital for like a week straight, and then I had to come home. But what happened when I was in the emergency room, and I had no idea what was going on with me, because we were actually cooking out at my house at the time, and I was taken to the hospital. I went to the hospital, and I didn't know what was wrong. I just thought I had like flu-like symptoms, because I was getting a headache and all this other stuff, very uncomfortable. So I'm in the emergency room, and then they finally take me back, because you can sit for hours in the emergency room before you go back to the holding tank. That's what I call it. After you go back to the holding tank. But I'm in the room, and there's a doctor in the room, and or intern, whatever, the people that come visit you first. So we're sitting there talking, and this older nurse comes in the room, like an older black lady comes in the room. And she tells the doctor, you need to check him to see whether he has meningitis. And then she left out the room. So I'm telling people about this lady when I start recovering and I'm better. Nobody saw it. There was people in the room when this doctor was talking to me. Nobody saw this lady. Nobody knew what I was talking about. Until this day, I have no clue. Well, now I know, it was divine. But at the time, I will put my life on the fact that there was a woman there, an older woman, older nurse, told the doctor, you need to check him. And then they checked me. And then they found out what I had. They shot me upstairs. They put me in isolation, or quarantine, as it's called. And then they started the treatment, whatever, they had to separate me because I had the virus. Right. Yeah, and they put me upstairs, but I always credit that woman for speaking up in that moment, but nobody saw her.
Wow.
But me.
Now was
Won't he
that
visit you?
was that intervention, or was that the meds kicking in? I'm joking.
I'm up there getting high.
No,
I mean,
I'm sure it
really
was.
And I was like, and every time I think about the story, and I was just telling my wife a couple weeks ago, I get really filled, because I'm like, that woman, I have no clue who it was.
Oh, that was an angel of the Lord, of the most.
Maybe that was
Hey,
the Shack.
There you go.
Maybe.
Yeah. The Shack.
Yep, that's where they got the movie from. You need to get your money.
They need to pay you.
They need to pay you.
Yeah,
book and movie.
It's amazing the impact that a stranger can have, and I never let go of that moment. I mean, I'm 43 now. That was 20 years ago at least, and I never ever forget that moment.
Me either. Yeah.
Yeah,
That's crazy.
that's amazing. So we know that Jesus comes to hospitals.
Yeah, he does.
That's
and
clear.
jobs. Yep,
And jobs. Yeah.
Huh.
Amen to that. So anyway, when we come back, we're going to take a break, you guys. But when we come back, we are going to have the ACS question of the week. And this week, we're talking about the Church of England. in their newfangled baptism that they want to do. So I want you to stay tuned, stay locked. So when we come back, we have this newfangled baptism that we're going to talk about. In the meantime, jump on our fan page on Facebook, the After Church Radio Show fan page. If you want to weigh in on the question of the week, we encourage you to put your comments on our Facebook live stream, or you can call us at 1-877-479-4473. Again, that is 1-877-479-4473. We'd love to interact with you. We'd love to chat with you. We'll be right back in just a few minutes. It's the After Church Show with Greg and Friends.
That's my song. Yeah, give me that.
Turn it.
I'ma put in work. I'ma do that ASAP. Throw my finger back.
He's down to 1 and 2.
Yo, I dropped the 88. Wiki Bobby, shaking bake. Sleeping on the shit, stay awake, huh? Everybody make mistakes like VJs. Try to say my name is Minio. Stay with me, Minio. Okay, great. Forks high, raise stakes. Risk it all, I take the hate. This the winning team. Get the Gatorade. My guy good, but he's not safe. No. They try to shut us down and it ain't gon' slide. Only thing I fear is God and he on my side. That's the confidence I got, cause he got me. That's why I really feel like you can't stop me. That's all you got. Come on with it. That's all you got. You can't stop me. Don't got the power. Shut me down. That's not enough. I'm my biggest problem. Don't got the power. Shut me down. That's not enough. You can't stop me. You're my biggest opponent. You know me, I know you, we know it. Whenever I fail, you always been there to simply remind me of blowing. You don't see when I'm growing. You don't see where I'm going. You only see in the moment. You know my mistakes. You never let go. Don't cease to amaze me, and it drive me crazy. Did you catch every detail that I missed in the songs I'm making? Saying you will never write a verse like Kendrick. Never be the rapper I got from Hendrix. Top 10 alive, you will never be mentioned. Why aim so high, won't survive the trenches? Plus, you a Christian, Andy. They will never listen, Andy. Plus, we a pigment, Andy. You don't got skill, you a gimmick, Andy. Well, if I listen to you and everything you put in my ear, I'll be paralyzed by fear. On the microphone. The only way I lose, I got 2 choices. Make moves or make excuses. If you know who I'm talking about, then you got me. My biggest enemy is me. And I can't stop it. Down and it ain't gon' slide. Only thing I'm feeling is God and he on my side. That's the confidence I got, cause he got me. That's why I really feel like you can't stop me. That's all you got. Come on with it. That's all you got.
I thought you were video.
You can't stop me. Don't got the power.
Photo bomb.
Shut me down. That's not enough.
You bring us something?
Don't got the power. Shut me
You record
down.
those too. I guess I should have told you the time. Huh? So we record those too. Yeah,
Can't stop me. Won't stop me. If I cannot stop me, they will never stop me. Can't stop me. Won't stop me.
Right? Bring this song.
Andy Minio.
Andy Minio.
Almost better than Mel Robbins.
That is hard. Snatch that right off.
Right?
I saw a story posted yesterday with you playing lace rompers.
No, I saw that. It was like, it was like fake green and white.
Man.
Yeah, that's horrible.
I saw that.
I threw up in the back of my mouth.
They
What is going on?
I said I can't. I don't understand this at all.
You can turn it down.
Play music on the break, yeah. Keeps my energy up. Is it too loud for the house? Is that what you mean?
Yeah, a little bit. I don't keep it this high, but it's nobody upstairs.
Mama said,
No, nobody upstairs.
Amen. If can't do you, can I please be
Jay like 65 years old and you're like,
I don't come here for this. This is not what I come here for.
I've seen that picture. It's so many memes on this picture. The one I saw said, when you're the first lady, you still take out hits. Like the first lady, a hitman. Still running numbers.
That's too much.
Check up on everything.
You think that's somebody's job? Like, just sit home and cook me?
I'm sure somebody
How much they get paid, though? I just do that. I just do that all day.
Especially like, I know when we did social media in school, lowest paid person in our business now. And they doing it for a management network. That's what you're doing. So they're doing it for a management network.
I'm gonna go.
Yeah, they trying to say the first that
Eagle swings wide. Get on our level. If you ain't with us, we bye-bye. We had to hear go. We on the plan. We had to get zone. Mr. Flag Saga, here get you right. Wanna empty kiss goodnight. I am the spitting image. CLC, no kidding, it is nothing but kingdom business. You are a living witness. Set me free, give me the victory. Looking how I used to be. I could have been dead somewhere in the street, but now I'm a church boy, work boy. Some call him best friend because he's right. He's on the inside of me. One God in the Holy Trinity. Worship you. Worship you.
Did he play God? He played God.
You're tuned into the After Church Show with Greg and Friends. You're tuned into the After Church Show with Greg and Friends. Amen. Fresh topics. Real talk.
Put up a little bit Christian.
Fresh topics. Real talk. Real Christian. You can't shut me up because I got a platform. You're tuned into the After Church Show with Greg and Friends. Fresh topics. Real talk. Real Christian. At the end of the day, we believe in the same God. We believe that God can deliver us from any situation. And if we believe in the same word, the same Bible, then there's no reason that we can't sit down and talk about a problem before we want to see. Welcome back to the After Church Show with Greg and Friends. We are in hour number 2. You guys with me now?
Yeah.
That's what's up. We're down here at Awesome God Radio. If you just tuned into the broadcast, this is the After Church Show with Greg and Friends, and we air every Saturday from 12 p.m. to 2 p.m. And our show rebroadcasts on Tuesdays from 3 p.m. to 5 p.m. And you also have the luxury of hitting up awesomegodradio.com for on-demand playbacks of the After Church Show with Greg and Friends. You can follow us on social media platforms under @AfterChurchShow, and also check out our website, theafterchurchshow.com. So it is time for for the ACS question of the week. And this week's question is a good one, in my opinion, you guys. The question is this. The Church of England is set to vote on a motion that celebrates a transgender Christian's decision to change their sex by making a baptism service specifically for that event. A move that is said to solidify the church's acceptance of transsexuals. Traditionalists are disappointed by the motion to create an official baptism-like service for transgender individuals, as they adhere to the Bible's teaching that gender is God-given. But the opponents argue the church should help people to see the beauty of their God-given sex instead of confusing them. Liberals, on the other hand, argue that representatives have already been holding these unofficial services to welcome sex-change Christians, and they are in support of this move. So our question this week is, do you believe the church is solidifying the acceptance of Christian transsexuals by performing these baptisms? Now, if you are on our social media page, the After Church Radio Show fan page, you'll see that there was a pretty heated discussion that took place over this topic, and I praise the Lord for that, because it was an interesting conversation that took place. So I cannot, because of the length of some of the responses, read everything that was written, but I will read a couple excerpts. So E. Cole York said this: acceptance of transsexuals changing their lifestyle. Yes, they can be baptized. But any church that knows that they are not trying to change should not approve this lifestyle as a candidate for baptism. Sean Robson said this is heresy and an attack on the creation design, period. This is trying to be tolerant of man regardless of his offense to God. We had a pretty lengthy response by Dr. Will Speaking and also Brother Ken Taylor. But to surmise what they were saying, they basically said that this is demonic in its nature, and it's a mockery to the church, and it shouldn't be tolerated. Both gentlemen came from slightly different perspectives, but they basically said the same thing. And Ms. Warner said, it's like making fun of God. This is no baptism and has no place in church or religious setting. Enough is enough. So we had three options to choose from. The options were no, this is not a good idea. One option was I'm not certain, I see both sides. And then, of course, there was the option, yes, this will improve the overall acceptance of transgenders in the church. So let's discuss this, guys, because this one is meaty. I like a meaty topic, something that we can really chew down on and talk about for a few minutes. So let's go at it with this. So I'll get the ball rolling and I'll bounce the first comment here. But my thoughts are this. I think that I personally think this is an atrocity. I think it's a mockery of the intent and purpose of baptism, and I feel that it is offensive, is sacrilegious, and in my earnest belief, I do not believe that God is pleased with a church saying that they want to create a new baptism to celebrate the reassignment of gender. That's just me. Now I'll put my thoughts out there, and now you can put your thoughts out there. But that's how I feel about it. So how do you feel about the Church of England and this notion that we should baptize you specifically because you chopped off your appendage and decided to be superior?
She looked like she got.
Yeah, she about to go in. I like what she about to go in. But how you feel, sis? What's up?
But I did see a comment on a post, and it said that it's time for the church to repent, and I have to agree.
Okay.
With that comment.
Yeah.
I don't care what your sexuality is, and I'm all for you coming back home to the church, but let it be in good reason and a justified reason.
Mm-hmm.
There's no such thing as getting baptized to justify your new identity. I mean, if that was the case, then there'd be multiple baptisms all over the place.
Yeah.
I just don't agree with it. I think it's disrespectful to the Father, disrespectful to the Word, the meaning of Scripture, the feeling of Christianity, what it means to be a Christian, to be a believer. I love all people, but this is just ridiculous.
Yeah. Because it's one thing to accept, and I will never ever listen to or preach hate myself, because we are all God's children, regardless of what we try to do to our bodies and what our thoughts or what our thoughts tried to do to us and what some demonic influence tries to do to us, we're still God's children.
Right.
So it's not about accepting, because you know that always seems to become a point of contention between the church and those who have alternative lifestyles. This is not about accepting a person. This is about reassigning a statute that God put in place and trying to say no different than redefining marriage. If you really want to get down, get down.
Mm-hmm.
But this is what this is renaming something that God intended, and for that, can't handle it.
Yeah, no, I agree with y'all. I mean, it's pretty ridiculous. I mean, it's one thing to be transgender and you just want to get baptized.
Yeah.
But to actually have a baptism celebration because you decide that you know, if you were born a man and you feel like you were born a woman, no, the church can't get involved in that. And there's nothing wrong with that. People need to not be afraid of people saying the church is judging or whatever else. Say, call it what you want, say what you want. God is not pleased with that. We're not celebrating because you decided you wanted, you know, God made you a man. It was his intent for you to be a man. Point blank period. If he made you a woman, it was his intent to make you a woman. And if you believe that, then that's, you know, exactly where it is. So
yeah. Because I mean, I can't. I don't understand how one could put baptism into part of this, and I think I know why, because I'm just figuring. But it's kind of, you know, the whole, you know, baptism is representing the fact that we are born again in Jesus, and then when we go down, it's death, and when we arise, it's in a new life. So I guess they're trying to take that aspect of it to kind of finagle a way to say, well, you going down a man and you coming up a woman, but you can't. You can't. I just can't. I don't see that. I don't see that as okay. Shatah?
So, you know, I think the church has to be careful about what they allow themselves to come in agreement with.
Yeah.
Because that type of stuff will allow certain spirits to infect your sanctuary.
Mm-hmm.
And I think about just the idea that we cannot confuse God's grace with his approval. And that people think that just because God is gracious and merciful, that it means, oh, he's going to forgive me for everything, or he's going to accept everything, and let me do this spiritual practice to seal a dysfunctional and demonic deed.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm just like, you know, it gets to a point where we try to accept too many things that God has not approved.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, you can be transgender all day long. I can love you to death.
Yeah.
You can come to my church and you can sit right down on that pew. But I will not baptize you to seal your dysfunction.
To seal that deal, yeah.
Yeah, because I'm not going to stand in agreement with something that God doesn't agree with.
Yeah.
So I think the church needs to be solid in their stance to say that this is not what we stand for, because this is not what God says.
Yeah.
And people try to insert things to accommodate their dysfunction all the time in church. And it's like, just read the word and live it based upon what it says, not based upon what you want it to be, so that you can feel okay with what you've decided you want to do.
Yeah.
God doesn't make mistakes. He made us the way he made us. Period.
Yeah. I'm with you on that. That is it.
Yeah.
That was the nail in the coffin. I mean, we can lower that into the ground now, because that was it. So if you're out there and your name is Frank and you want to be called Francine, that's fine. But we're not baptizing you, and the church is not going to baptize you and say that that's cool.
Knock it off.
And I think that, and just to put, you know, just one last final thought on this, I personally couldn't even understand why this was up to vote.
Right.
We're just getting involved.
You know what I'm saying?
Too much. Like, it's just too much. It's
preach
the
literally
word
too
and
much going
go to bed.
on. Like, yo, like the story we did, a guy that just didn't want to identity. You just,
he just don't want to be nobody.
You just don't want to be nothing.
You want to be a Ken doll.
Yeah.
I don't know what he wants.
He probably read too many horoscopes.
I give
People
up.
searching for stuff.
Yeah, because like stuff like this, it's like
Reaching.
certain things. It's you know how, and we all are adults in the room. You know how certain things you just don't talk about and don't discuss because it just don't make sense.
Yeah.
Yep.
This is one of those things. It's like, why? If I was in this meeting, you know, I'd be like, why are we talking about this?
Yeah.
Why is this a question? You know, and who was it that said, all right, we really should vote on this? That's the guy that I want to sit down, or the woman that I want to sit down and talk to. Like the person that said, we really should sit down and discuss whether we should do this or not.
I blame the staff.
Yeah.
No, you know what? I blame the preacher.
It's somebody.
You know why? Because if I'm leading people, they should know how I roll. Y'all should know this is absolute foolishness that you're gonna bring to my desk. No.
Mm-hmm.
So it's crazy.
Yeah, Pastor Greg would have been like, man, if you don't get out my office.
No, like for real. Like,
that's how I answered that. Brother Barnes, we need to discuss whether or not we're going to baptize people to reassign their gender. If you don't get out my church, Satan, that would have been my answer. But anyway, if you like to join in on the question of the week, each week we post a question on our fan page. It's the After Church Radio Show fan page, which is found on Facebook. Feel free to jump in there with the discussions. We appreciate everybody. This is a very healthy discussion that we had. So for all those who participated online, we certainly appreciate you guys' responses because there was a lot of meat in those discussions, and we will make sure that we have questions that will tickle your fancy every week. I like the type of response we had this week.
Yeah,
people was like, nah, player. This is what I mean. But check out the comments because it was fun to read. It was definitely fun to read. You can become a member of the fan page by just going on the After Church Radio Show fan page on Facebook, and we'll add you right in there. So guys, check this out. In a recent news story, Jackson County prosecutors charged a 29-year-old convicted felon with shooting in a South Kansas City church. This happened about a week or so ago. And when he shot into the church, he slightly injured a church greeter. The guy's name is Orlando L. Gentry. And again, that's Orlando.
I knew he was.
You know he gotta make sure everybody knows.
In case he tries to come and join your church. Yes, no, but Orlando, O-Dog decided that he was going to shoot into the church. So he was charged last week with assault, or 2 weeks ago with assault, possession of a firearm, unlawful use of a weapon and carrying a loaded firearm, and shooting at the House of Refuge Church. Now, I know I'm not supposed to laugh,
I can see when you're
but House of Refuge, he shouldn't have been able to get in there in the first place. That should be a safe place. But he came up in there, guns a-blazing. Prosecutors said that Gentry entered the church, got into an altercation with the church members, and fired multiple times. One of the bullets grazed the greeter on the head, and the greeter fell through the window into the sanctuary. The greeter, whose name is Montel Bruce, big up to you, Big Monty, was treated and released for non-life-threatening injuries. So check this out. Bruce told a local TV station that he was greeting worshipers. He saw the man draw the gun, and he said, and I quote, "One wrong move, and it would have been something else. My family was in there. My son was in there. I tried to grab him, throw him to the ground. I was trying to get the gun." End quote. I don't know how big Monty is, but those are big boy words that he was spitting right there.
Big boy words.
Big Monty was on the door. So Big Monty,
4'1".
White Monty, that's around be my height, talking about that stuff. But Big Monty stopped the altercation, and in the melee, Big Monty got grazed by one of the stray bullets. But it wasn't serious. You know, he just had an abrasion, and he's okay. So, question. Well, first off, what the heck? But the question is simply this. What precautions can we take to prevent these types of occurrences? Because, I mean, we know that there's security for churches. We know that there is, you basically got like paramilitary deacons now in the church. You do. Those big time preachers, if you watch TV and like, we just went to the Potter's house, right? About a month or so ago. Every time TD Jakes got up and walked, it was big dudes getting up. I'm like, they not deacons.
No, they ain't even listening to the sermon.
Right. I don't even think they might not even be saved. They not even saved.
They ain't even saved. He don't want them saved.
Yeah, they on salary. He like, hey,
y'all on the payroll.
Hey, somebody touch Jake's.
It's over.
Furniture gonna move.
Everybody know it.
Yeah, it's gonna be smoke in the city if somebody touch Jake's. But what kind of precautions can we take, y'all? Because I mean, this guy really. I mean, you got the greeter. You got service going on. He talking about, hey, Brother Monty out there. God bless you. How you doing? Welcome to the House of Refuge. And then pop pop. Yeah. What can we? What can we do to prevent this?
Bye.
You know that's how it does.
What gun you shooting?
An old 1920s gangster gun. I'm gonna shoot your seed.
All night.
Make me pull my gun, see? Pop, pop. Officer Massey. I'm sorry, Officer Massey. What can we do?
You can't
Officer
say
Massey.
Macy. I was like, who is that?
Who is Officer Massey? Massey, because you're on security squad.
Yes, I am on security squad.
And somebody moved with the pastor. You've been given, the God-given right to tackle a brother.
Yep.
So what can we do though? How can we stop it, man?
So, I mean, it's just about being aware. It was good that he was aware and he knew what to look for.
Yeah. So he's more than a greeter, probably.
Yeah,
Like
he's more.
cop.
Yeah. TD Jakes, they actually have like most of the big name pastors. They actually have companies of
Do they really?
security. Oh yeah,
Okay.
I've met TD Jakes. His main security guy came out to Messiah.
Okay.
And we got a chance to sit down and talk to him. They're a little more deep with what they look for.
Are they serious though?
Oh, they serious.
How was it? Please tell me about the conversation. I'm just interested. Was he like ultra serious when he was talking?
Somewhat. I mean, basically, he was just saying, what they do at the Potter's house. Now, I've never been to the Potter's house. I don't know.
Yeah. It's big.
From
I'll
one
tell
of
you
the
that much.
one of the suggestions I can say, he just said that they look through people's bags and purses. I've never been there, so I don't know.
Well, we didn't get the full frisk.
Right. So
when we went there.
Yeah.
But
so
they
I
were
don't know
clearly
if
they were clearly there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So they're around. I actually talked to a gentleman who visits the church and his wife frequently, and he's an assistant pastor, and he asked the question. He was like, "Well, what can I do?" I told my pastor that I want security here.
Yeah.
His pastor's old school. He's like, God will protect us, but 2017, that's
Yeah.
just not. To me, that's not wisdom. And I told him, I said, well, first thing you do is see if you have any off-duty police officers in your congregation. So that's kind of a step, just seeing who.
Yeah. That's something simple to
legally who can bring a gun in and
and
just kind of keep an eye out. This particular story, he brought the gun in there because probably like a couple weeks ago, he went to the pastor to try to get some money.
Yeah.
And the pastor told him no.
Yeah.
And he was coming to the church.
And
to
old
get
dog
some
wasn't
money.
having it. Old dog said, "You're gonna
Right.
give me money."
Maybe he was trying to rob the time and out in time. Maybe he was trying to time that.
Who knows?
He could have been. So, I mean, everybody should be alert. I mean, of course, you're there to, worship and praise God.
Yeah.
But at the same time, you need to, because you never know, what's going on. You never know what's coming through those doors, visitors.
Yeah.
Even down to what happened with the white male that went to Bible study and killed all those black people. You never know. And
Or
unfortunately,
that one story we talked about where the guy couldn't get the seat that he wanted.
Oh, yeah.
And he went out to his car, came back in, and rocked off on everybody. Like, I can't sit here.
Right.
And his gun didn't go bop bop.
Did it go boom boom?
It went boom boom.
So you really got to pay attention. Like that's what we do. Like we're watching everybody. Like because you don't know somebody's mental state on a Sunday.
Yeah.
And you don't want to be. You don't want that to happen because you also think about your family is there. Your children's there, young kids are there.
That's what Big Monty said. My son was in there.
Yeah.
He wasn't having it.
Exactly. So shout out to the Big Monty.
Yeah. Regardless of how big he is.
5'1".
Big Monty?
My man.
Yeah. So ladies, any thoughts on that? I mean, because it can happen anytime. And the thing that constantly surprises me is how, and Chris touched on it, and thanks for raising the point, man. We with the old school pastor, sometimes we get so spiritual that we forget about where we are.
Yeah.
And true. I mean, you have to be cognizant of the dangers that exist in society.
Yeah.
And those are real dangers that can occur. Somebody can walk up in your church and shoot somebody. And somebody can walk up in your church and rob somebody. Or somebody who's mentally not there can walk up in the church and do something to hurt somebody within your congregation. So you have to have measures in place to address stuff like this. So how do you guys feel about how can we prevent this from happening?
Definitely have some type of security, and like Chris was talking about, with checking your congregation to see if you have any off-duty police officers. It could be military personnel, anybody that is willing to.
Or just some old ex-thugs, because they work too.
You got some safe
I mean,
thugs.
let's be real.
Oh,
So
yeah,
if I know, Brother Jackson just got out,
yeah,
he's on security.
he could be on security.
He's on security the same. Say, hey, Brother Jackson. He'd be like, yeah, Pastor, I got you.
I got you. Don't even worry about
You
it.
gotta worry about
So
that.
ain't
pop
gotta
off
say
in
the
here.
word.
You ain't gotta worry about nothing. I'll go back.
Right.
I need one of them brothers. I'll go back. I ain't worried about it. I'll go back.
But no, that's real because the interesting part is when I was maybe like 6 or 7 years old,
Yeah.
one of my friends at church got shot.
In church?
Yeah, she got shot because she was standing at the door by it was actually somebody walking towards the church, and I don't know if he was shooting at somebody else.
Yeah.
But the bullet actually went literally through her.
Ooh.
Jesus.
Yeah, and we were like little kids, so I was 6 or 7, so she maybe was like 8 or 9.
She alive?
She's alive. Yeah, she survived. Thank God.
Praise
That
God
was
for the
crazy.
through and through bullet.
No, seriously, that
That's
was
the
like
best
the
way of
scariest
looking at
thing.
it.
But it's like it's definitely a need for some type of security,
Yeah.
whether they are marked as such or undercover. But you got to have people that's keeping watch because the church, as we say, the church doors are open to anybody.
Yeah, they open.
And anybody means you
They
might
do.
not be a purged vessel, so
Yeah.
people could do anything. So yeah,
Purged
using
vessel.
I
wisdom.
like that.
Right there.
That's what I like. That's what I like. Purge
Might
vessel.
not be a purged vessel.
You know, she be ready. She
I know
come
she
ready.
come in
I'm chilling today.
with her
I'm chilling
SAT
today.
backpack.
Right.
I'm chilling today.
I'm gonna hit him with this one today.
Right. I know. She gonna go home later like check.
Got that purged vessel
Got that
off my
purged
lips.
vessel.
Man.
Got that off
I
my
ain't gonna
chest.
use that.
All right, Shatah. We told her to get deep. We know it was coming. Might not be a purged vessel.
Right.
Come up in the house of God.
I might have to use that.
Yeah, I'm stealing that.
Use that in the sentence.
Yeah, so to all our unpurged vessels out there, we will be back. We're going to take a break at the bottom of the hour. We're going to take a break. We want you guys to enjoy the music. Please stay tuned to the After Church Show with Greg and Friends. We'll be right back on Awesome God Radio. Sorry, Kyle, it was 133.
I'm sorry. I can't.
That made my head hurt. That was funny. Purge vessel.
She just be his purged vessel.
Listen,
One song.
Yeah.
I ain't know it today. I'm
Turn your
shutting
mic around to the MSC in front of you.
Oh, the letters. That's what the mic actually is. See the letters on this part? There's letters written on here.
Yeah.
That's where the face of the mic is.
She can turn the other way again, but you have to like hold it to turn the
You
mic.
gotta hold your quick.
Yeah.
We yelled at Chris for 3 weeks.
3 weeks.
I finally got it down this
He
week.
got it now. He's
Now
like,
we ain't had to say nothing to
And I
me.
kept meaning to tell you, but I'm getting to what I go ahead. So, but I said I gotta remember.
It's month of the day.
that's DJ Nelly B. That's what
I know she over here
I said. I'm
rocking.
trying to bump. I want to bump when I'm in the studio.
So we talking anymore about this trip. I'm not doing this.
No, I want to go. But we have to plan out for something like that.
I'm fine with the plan. I just wanted emotion.
Y'all gonna do it?
Damn.
I'm good.
As long as it's not the end of the day.
Okay.
It needs to be in the summertime, the spring.
My calves have
Check. All right.
It's like the cat.
Me too.
You let the gear back on the shop.
For what time?
Greg was
You
like,
talking about this year to do it?
If not, it'll be spring of next year. Yeah.
You mind?
I'm good.
I want to figure that out.
You on that? Oh, the Penrose are listening. Let me hit them. Sean on there too.
what up, Sean?
We gotta make sure we hit the social media thing. Y'all log into the page?
I can't. My girls still keep going down. So
It did?
mine.
Oh, yours too.
Not the show, but coming in. I have more, but for you to add.
Oh,
You saw this lady, Regina, right? Comment.
I answered it in a separate post. I told him we were live. I'm gonna kind of freestyle a little bit.
Okay.
Oh no way. Not too much. I mean, it'll be on some of the stuff. I want to get through some of this stuff. I'm good.
I like the passing and receiving the emails. Okay. I'm like, listen, I'm on the phone and like, send another email.
30 seconds. 30 seconds.
How about that?
We gotta talk about Steve Harvey.
Yeah, I'm gonna hit that one for sure. I'm good.
20 seconds. Y'all ready to be unmuted?
Turn it down a little bit.
Okay. Hey, welcome back to the After Church Show with Greg and friends. We are live in the studio at Awesome God Radio.
You.
Oh.
Sorry, let me start. They started harmonizing. See, that's the ACS choir. If you need us at your church to come harmonize,
Send an email directly to you. Oh dog.
oh dog. No, we're not bringing Bop Bop with us. We're not gonna bring that. He's not coming. So check us out. Steve Harvey recently addressed his staff, and this has been buzzing in the media for a little bit. It was kind of a hot story a couple weeks back, but he addressed his staff kind of harshly in an email. Basically, he told them, don't bother him. Don't come up to me. Don't touch me. Don't talk to me. Because they made the decision to move the studio from where it is now to LA. So I'm gonna say this, and just to his credit, Steve Harvey actually released a secondary series of statements where he tried to clarify the reason why he did it, and the reason why he sent this memo to his staff. But I'm gonna say that I completely agree why he sent it, right? But I think it was tacky. But I agree with why he sent it. So if you know about the story, he sent it because people kind of had like too much access to him, per se. You know, coming up to him in the dressing room, you know, not giving him time to prep for shows and stuff like that. And, you know, he's the leader and visionary of a corporation, and he obviously has a lot that he's responsible for. So there has to be some sort of measures in place as relates to some things. Okay, so I understand why he did it, but the thing that I wanted to talk about was not necessarily Steve, because he's just a person and he's a leader. I wanted to talk about kind of like pastors though, that do similar things, where you have like all these layers that you have to go through to get to the pastor. Sometimes the pastor can be perceived as almost like a diva. You know, like I can't talk to him, I can't get to him. There's always somebody that I've got to go around, and I just don't have access to him. So have you guys ever dealt with that personally? And what are your thoughts on that when there's all these steps and measures you have to go through to reach a pastor? And you'll find this a lot of times with the larger churches.
Right.
You know, mega ministries are really, really like that. But sometimes you find that even in smaller assemblies as well. So how do you guys feel about that sort of structure, and what are your thoughts on that?
I mean, I think it has to be some type of structure in place like that, because if you have a congregation of 6,000 members, 15,000 members, 30,000 members, you can't be so accessible because you're going to be drained. You cannot provide everything for everybody. That's why you have a staff. But I do believe that as the leader, it shouldn't necessarily be you putting out the information as to how you can be reached in terms of like what the limitations are. That's why you have management and people on the front line to do those things, because your job is to be the visionary and to be the leader. You shouldn't have to be the disciplinarian also. You know what I mean? It's like wear certain hats and let other people handle the other things. But yeah, I think that if people use any type of common sense, you would know that as the leader, you can't have everybody just coming up to you.
Yeah.
But you have to put those measures in place where your staff knows how to support you and what you need to feel like you're not being overwhelmed and overloaded by everybody who wants to get a piece of you.
Yeah. True. I think that's a good way to handle it. Any thoughts on that?
I agree pretty much with everything Karen said, especially on Sundays, because Sundays are so busy. And then when you have like smaller churches and larger churches, sometimes there's just not enough time for the pastor to meet everyone. I do have a suggestion though. I think that for the larger churches, even like 6,000 members, we know that Sundays aren't, idealistic. So if they could schedule times when he could meet with just a certain amount of people, just schedule
smaller.
Because you got to think about it. If I'm tired and I'm putting my time and effort into going to a church, at some point, sure, I would want to meet the pastor. And I'm not saying like sit down and have a whole conversation with him, but just get him to know, my faces. I'm in your congregation. I'm paying towards the church. So if churches, small or large, could accommodate, once a month we can meet with X amount of members.
Yeah.
And you just introduce yourself. Oh, I'm so and so. This is what I do.
Yeah.
I think that's a great idea.
That's pretty genius. I think, and I hope maybe their church is doing that already. But I think that's definitely a good idea because you're right. Like on Sundays, that's really not a good time because if everybody had access, and even in a smaller church, in a smaller congregation, people walk to the pastor, the bathroom downstairs needs toilet paper in it.
Because people saying stupid stuff.
But you'll get all kinds of concerns that really, it's like, really, you needed to stop me for that?
Yeah.
You couldn't tell a trustee or something.
Yeah. You couldn't go get the toilet paper.
Yeah, that's
right.
right.
Do it yourself.
Yeah. So I mean, I guess because I guess I understand, and I fully agree. I think that the layers need to be in place. I mean, even Moses was told, look, man, you can't manage all these people.
You
need to put some judges out there to help you manage these folks, because if not, you're gonna just be buried by all their concerns.
You will.
So I get that, but that whole thought process of having something in place where they can access him and make it a little more personable, I think that's a really good idea, man. That's a really good idea. And so speaking of larger churches, recently Bishop T.D. Jakes honored his wife. They've been married for 35 years now.
Come on.
That's a mighty long time.
Mighty long time.
Yeah.
The same face.
Praise
Every day.
every day. What'd you say? Every day. Every morning. No, it's a joy.
It is.
It's a joy. Don't make the producer come over here and hit me.
Oh, look at it.
She give me the look. What you talking about? But how difficult do you think it is to be a Christian public figure and stay happily married? Because we always see how the marriages tend to suffer with celebrities in the secular world, right? But how hard do you think it actually is for a good Christian couple to stay happily married and for so long? Because they've been married, that's 35 years. That's really good. Yeah.
I think it's hard for anybody, but especially for a Christian couple, because people are looking to see what you're going to do and how you're going to live and how you're going to react in certain situations, to see if you really love God the way you say you do.
Mm-hmm.
Or using something, waiting for moments that they can use something against you to say, well, Pastor did this and he's supposed to be saved. But I think the good part about Bishop Jakes is I think he loves God for real. So him and his wife have created that foundation where, like, truly no weapon formed against them is going to prosper, because they didn't come a mighty long way from them West Virginia Hills, child.
Yeah. I mean, he talked about how he had holes in the shoes.
Yeah.
The car wasn't working, and she was right there.
She was a
But
rider.
see, I love that though.
Yes.
That ride or die attitude is incredible.
You gotta
And once you find it, hold it.
Absolutely.
Because it is important.
It's
Once
everything.
you find it, hold it. Because if somebody can be with you when you broke, when you don't have, as the people say, a pot to piss in or a window to throw it out of. Right? If somebody's with you then, that's that old deacon in me. But if somebody's with you then and they riding with you then, when the things come, you know what I mean?
Come on. I felt the little.
Did you feel when the things come?
Right. When the blessings.
But that's the kind of person that you need in your corner.
Yeah.
That's an amazing thing to have, And I'm astonished and impressed. And so what? And regardless of your step, because you know some of us are single, some of us are divorced, some of us are remarried. Here's the thing: we are.
She slid that one.
She slid that in there. She got me.
Speaking in the atmosphere.
She got me. Here's the thing: we all have learned something that we can contribute, right? And something that we can add in as far as marriage advice goes. So, Kai, even in your young age right now, as a young lady,
Young whippersnapper.
Whippersnapper. What do you think, honestly, helped them? Y'all are the craziest people. That's why I love y'all. But what do you think helped them last so long? In any marriage, for that matter, because you don't know the Jakes personally. I mean, unless you got them on your speed.
I know him. I wish.
Okay, but just for long marriages in general, because your parents have been together for a mighty long time, right? Almost that amount of time, and they still together.
Yeah.
So, what do you think, from what you've seen with them, what makes it work? Because we know every day ain't peachy,
Oh no.
you know, and sometimes it's a rocky road.
And not the ice cream.
Yeah. But what do you think? What do you think makes it successful? What have you learned from watching them that'll help your marriage be successful?
Keeping God at the center of it.
Mhm.
Communication.
Yeah.
Being able to talk with each other, not jumping to conclusions, just actually having a conversation, building the trust and everything.
Yeah.
I mean, like you said, are you humble?
I was wondering, like,
They're giving her background. He got that humming precious
over
mode.
here waiting in the water.
No,
I wasn't sure.
You know what?
I was so distracted.
You know what? When you say keeping him at the center, I just thought about that song Jesus at the center.
Yeah.
Oh.
That's like he sounded like somebody's old grandfather working on the car. This
I forgot where I was for a second.
I feel like you had straw in your mouth and everything. Like, I was so
like, what is going on with
That
you?
threw me all the way off.
She all deep and deep in the deep and nasty.
You know when the preacher preaching, they start playing. I was playing the piano.
I got you. I got you.
Go ahead. I'm
you
sorry.
gotta warn us next time.
She don't even know where she at now.
I'm
But you talk about you just talk about consistency, love, communication. I'm with you. I'm with you. But those are the things that work. So Chris, you know, what is it that you know works?
Stop humming for me.
Yeah, we're gonna give you background noise now. What works and what doesn't?
Are you doing that from the You sound like the
That was
purple.
good times.
No, that was should.
Oh, that was shit. Okay.
I'm like, wait a
I heard
minute.
that. I heard that. So what works, man? What actually works?
Oh, that's funny. Like Kyle said, keeping God at the center. Communication is a big part of it.
Yeah.
Stepping out of your own way.
Okay.
Because you know we all are
Step out of your own way.
we all have our own things, like this
Message.
is how I am. You know what I'm saying? But when you're looking at the bigger picture of your marriage, when you made that vow of honor to God, you kind of like Jesus laid himself for the church. You got to lay yourself for your spouse. Like there's some things that you would just, and I'm not talking about like stuff that you just won't put up with. I'm talking about things that may be detrimental that you have to take a step back and look at and just say, you know what? Maybe if I'm acting this way, or maybe if I'm saying something a certain way, maybe I got to take a step back for a second and you know, because you want it to work. You want to build that. You know, it's a beautiful marriage is a beautiful thing. You want to build that trust and for 35 years, especially to be in the spotlight. It's also about, you know, protecting. I think about my pastor, Pastor Rod. One of the things he talks about is when he counsels women, he doesn't do it alone. Somebody is in the office with him at all times. And we've seen a lot of pastors that enjoy counseling women by themselves in the city of Baltimore.
Yeah. Reverend Lonnie Loves.
Yes.
In the 21215
Be a little
area.
laying on in the hand. Be a little laying on in the hand.
I'm not going to say it right. But just
Get my
communication.
paying sister. Let me put this on your shoulders. Talk about what's wrong.
Get him out of here.
Sister Shatah.
So here's the thing. Here's the thing, though. I think that what makes
That's funny.
what makes it successful, because I wasn't always successful, and that's not something that I hide. You know, my wife and I have both been remarried, but I think that the thing that I've learned now And the joy and the beauty of what we have now is that it's much to do with what Chris was alluding to in his comments of getting out of your own way. When you start to understand your flaws, your sins, when you understand the person that you are, problems and all, then you can put yourself and invest yourself into your relationship with God. And the relationship with God is what is paramount. So our relationship, we pray for longevity of life so we can have as much time with each other as God allows. But our relationship is so good, and I think that their relationship is so good because they do put God first. And that's the key. It's cliche. It's very cliche, but it's so true. It's a very true statement. When you think about, either what does the word say, or what will God think, or what ought I do based upon the word, before you do anything, it changes everything.
Come on.
You know what I mean? It's a whole nother lens to look through. So that's what keeps us in love. That's what keeps us faithful. That's what keeps us honoring each other. That's what stops us from, going for the jugular in arguments. And I guarantee, that's some of the similarities and the same things, because I've heard him talk about his wife, Bishop Jace that is, and he talks about her with such love in his voice, and he looks at her in a way that you can tell, because people don't like each other, you can tell by the way they look at each other, because you can't fake happy, and I tell people that all the time. You can be out holding hands and trying to make everybody think you got the best relationship, and you looking on Instagram and Facebook, and y'all always loving and hugging, but can't even talk when you're in the car together. Come on, somebody. So it's real love, and it's God first, and I think that's what makes a marriage successful. So good topics, you guys. Well, one more thing that I want to talk about, because I like you silly. One more thing that I wanted to say before we get out of here, and let's toss this around real quick. Let's talk about this. Is I don't know which one of you guys did it. I thought it was a great question, a great topic. But there's a pastor that received hate mail from his own congregation. So the pastor was getting hate mail from his congregation. So I want to talk real quickly about how do you think the pastor should handle? How do you think a pastor should handle a situation like this? You are the set man of the house, right? God put you there for a reason. You're doing a pretty good job. You're checking in with Jesus. You're preaching. You're doing what you got to do. You think that everything's all right. And then Sister Betty sends you this email.
Sister Betty, she probably is the one, too.
Yeah, talking about...
She started the revolution.
She don't like your sermons. She don't like your suits. She don't like your wife.
Right.
And your children. And you ought to be gone. So what do you think should be done when... If you're a pastor, put yourself in the seat of a pastor now, and what would you do quickly?
Yeah, so the flesh side of me would be like, I don't care what any of y'all got to say, but if it's something that's hurting the church, and if it's legitimate arguments, then I think you got to sit down with your church and just listen openly and see what's going on.
Okay, and in what way? Because I agree with you. I actually think that you need to address the problem. Because it's still a member of your flock, no different than you have, family members that's out of line. You don't want to just leave them out there. Jesus left for one sheep, right? He got the 99, but if one strays, there's the joy of heaven when he goes to get the one, right?
See, it's happening.
And see, we got to her. Right. But so we need to go after the one. So I agree with you. But how would you handle that?
I think he should address it in the most tasteful, respectful way. Consider what the congregation has to say, and if it's something that's petty, I would just kind of keep on going, doing it.
Yeah. I would basically ignore the person. But how would you handle it? Because I know how I would handle it. I'm gonna give it to you. But what would you do?
Okay, I think about Dr. Juanita Bonham. I was watching something she did, and she was talking about how when attacked, we teach. So to absolutely use it as a teaching experience, because that person that may be attacking you, it may be your window to show them how God will respond in certain situations, or how they may not have gotten to certain lessons in Christ just yet. So to be that example, and to just teach and not be offended, and put everything in context, because it could be valid or not, but either way, it's an opportunity to teach.
Yeah, I feel the same way. I'm gonna be frank though. Initially I'd be ready to bounce off. Like, what?
What you talking about?
Who you talking to first up? But that's not the way you're supposed to do that. And it's a teachable moment. It's an opportunity for somebody, because obviously the person has, and sometimes it might be a legitimate gripe.
Right.
You know, they could be mad because like the communion wine just don't taste right, or it's messing with their sugar. You know what I mean? And it could be,
The crackers.
You want diabetic juice?
right, you know, but it could be something like that, or it could be, you know, they can't get a parking spot, or, you know, so can't find a parking spot, and they mad because people get upset. You know what I mean? So you can't get mad at people for the gripes that they have. But I think that as a leader, it's your job to take some time to find out what the issue is, and if it's a legitimate issue, and if it's something that can be addressed, then you address it. If it's foolishness, you know, you need to address that too.
Yeah.
And that way you get all of the problems out of the way, and you do a really good job of ensuring that your flock is being led in the right way. But you guys are amazing, and I want to thank you for all that y'all do. I do love y'all. Y'all do know that. And I'm glad that you're part of the team. The After Church Show with Greg and Friends, it's a pleasure to do this. And I really appreciate you guys on a big level. And shout out to Nelly B, the person who's making sure we sound right while we doing what we doing. And Jay, thank you, big dog. And also, I want to give a special shout out. We have a special visitor in the building today.
In the building.
My daughter Brianna is in
Yeah.
the studio today. She's up from South Carolina, so we appreciate her presence here today. You know, got that daddy love going on right now. Feeling all soft and nuggety on the inside.
Wow.
Feeling nuggety on the
I
inside.
don't even know what that means.
You know, stuff just comes up.
Yep.
I try my
Nugget
best.
love.
But got that nugget love.
Right.
But big shout out to her. She's up here in Maryland, so Dad's glad that she's here. So anyway, want to drop this final thought on you guys before we leave the studio today. And this is my final thought for this week. Have you ever stopped to question what your purpose is? Or have you ever taken a moment to think about what you're really good at? I know that I do. And it's times in my life where I've sat and I've tried to think about an area of my life where I clearly see my talents are being utilized. What I want to talk about and what I want to say is that area is more than likely the area where your purpose is tied into. Each one of us is made in the image of God. And believe it or not, every person is born with a purpose. And when we submit to the Holy Spirit and the leading and guidance of the Holy Spirit, we're given insight into God's purpose for our lives. The Bible says in Proverbs 20, verse 5, that the purposes of a person's heart are deep waters, but one who has insight draws them out. That insight is always given by the Holy Spirit. So the ACS challenge of the week this week is this. During the course of this week, if you've not done so in your life already, take some time to spend time with God and ask God to reveal your purpose to you, and also ask God to guide you by the Holy Spirit to operate in your God-given purpose. Because there's so much that we can offer in this life when we walk in our purpose and when we drive in our lane. Your lane was assigned to you for a reason, and God wants you to drive in it. So we hope that you enjoyed the show this week. We hope that you've enjoyed the broadcast. This has been the After Church Show with Greg and Friends. My squad is in the building, Massey, Kai Nicole, and Karen. And we thank you for listening to our broadcast. We will see you next week at the same time, in the same place. Be blessed on your journey.
So I didn't know that, the bottom of this had a button, and I pressed that button.
You didn't?
I mean, I did, but then halfway through, I didn't know there was a button right here, and I was like,
Oh, that's okay, Karen.
okay,
Got it.
sorry. I tried. It was just the end of it though.
DJ, what's the outro music?
Yeah.
Come on, DJ.
He wanted something slow.
You gotta turn it up. They can't
Just
hear
want to
it.
hear it though. I wanted something to
You got the headphones in.
feed the spirit.
Don't feed yourself in the car.
She said, "Go feed yourself in the car."
Hey,
Hey. Hope y'all enjoyed the broadcast. Peace.
Thanks for tuning in.